Welcome to the Wild Creatrix Cafe. I am your host, Adela Rubio, writer and virtual event host. In the Wild Creatrix Cafe series, we'll explore the myriad ways creators get their gifts and projects out into the world. In today's session, I'm excited and thrilled to welcome my friend and mentor and amazing being, Soleira Green. She will share how you can unleash your wild infinite genius. And Soleira is an author, speaker, and quantum coach who empowers people to unleash their unique genius and co-create with them exciting, innovative, practical ways to contribute to the world. I wanted to say so much more, Soleira, because I know so much more about you. But I was like, people will experience the amazingness of you, and that will be a treat. So I would love to know, I know that a long time ago, I thought that genius was something that, only a select, special few, got to aspire to it, or actually it was almost something magical. It was something in them, and there were only special beings that had genius. I would love to hear your take on genius.
Well, about 10 years ago, and I think you and Maureen were involved with this, about 10 years ago, I took on genius as a mission. And I said, it's time to break genius into the world. And there was there's about 30 of us. And we created this month-long genius game. And everybody's genius contributed. And each day we did a different theme. So, genius you, genius business, genius world, genius nature, genius, whatever. And the thing that happened with that, and that was a consciousness shift that we created. I'm sure there's other people in the world been creating it too, but we really went at it for about 3 years steady. And you're right, before that, people associated genius with prodigies, or like either you're born with it or you worked really, really, really hard for a long time and finally got so good at something that you broke through into genius. That is not my view of genius. I mean, it is, but it's a limited set. And when you make the limited set infinite, what you get is that everyone has genius in them. And they do. There's no doubt about it. Everyone has genius. I've proven it over and over and over for 10 years now. There's no doubt. Even if someone thinks they don't, they do. And it kind of dwells inside of us. So most people's genius is kind of locked away or sometimes tentatively given to the world, but very rarely wildly, infinitely, limitlessly expressed. And yes, there are a number of people who do it that way. They are wild creatrixes. I like that term. I think that's amazing. But, even the world has tried to say to us, oh, you're not supposed to think great about yourself. You're not supposed to think you're a genius. You're not supposed to go around and say that. And I say, blast it out there, people. Let the world know you got it. That's how we make a more awesome world, is by sharing that kind of genius together. So for me, the game is getting people to kind of unlock the treasure chest and wildly express it, bring it into their lives. And then also, my second piece is, so that's the inner genius, is that there is a genius field. Genius is in the air waiting for us. Great poetry, great books, great art, great stories, great whatever, solutions, innovations, whatever you want to call it. It's all floating around out there. And so what happens is you learn the art of reaching into the genius field, and you pluck this thing from the genius field and you bring it in and you marry it with your own genius. And what you get is this incredible expression of genius at an even more higher, infinite, limitless level, you could say. So that's my framework for it. So I'll stop talking for a minute in case you want to ask anything. Or
well, I was particularly the infinite wild genius, or wild infinite genius. That feels almost like it's genius plus plus.
Yeah.
Can you just say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to talk about something related to that and lead to the answer to your question. So, as a human being, we've got fairly limited constructs in which we can exist and create. But then we become our greater, more expansive beings, and we start to, really access more of ourselves and more of what we've got to give to the world. And then in recent years, we've stepped into infinite being, limitless possibilities, limitless creation. And so it's a matter of kind of not only expansion, but also a kind of inner burst of wildness from you. So it's like, and once you start, why you're saying genius plus plus is because at the infinite, limitless level, what's happening is that you're non-stop creating and getting ideas and doing something new and different. And it's like, it's not an addiction quite, but one could say that. You kind of can't stop. It's a high. And you have so much fun and such delight with it that what happens once you start rolling that kind of limitless genius on everything, whether that's cooking or gardening or walking in the park or creating art or taking photographs or writing story, whatever it is, it kind of then starts to spread across everything. So most people would think, oh, I have like one genius talent, but they don't. Once it starts to roll wildly and infinitely and limitlessly, they find that their genius can be applied to almost everything. And so you get this broad scope of genius expression that's no longer limited by, oh, if I have a genius, I just have one. And I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. It goes away because you just become this limitless creator.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I wonder how, because this is one of the things that I'm noticing in my own world, how does that change the way, like we're taught, to make plans, to have finite things, map things out, plan 5, we've got the world that says, okay, in order to do well in life, these are the things that you have to do. So how does it look when you're living from this place of infinite genius?
Well, you're a limitless creatrix. So there isn't anything you don't apply it to. Everything, even the most mundane of things, the way you shop, the way you cook, the way you wake up in the morning, the way you dress, the way everything. It just becomes this this rolling exuberance that lives in you, and it applies to everything. So what happens is you start to walk in the world as something. Now, in some people's cases, they walk as wonder. In some people's cases, they walk as nature. In some people's cases, they walk as limitless universe. Some people walk as, light shining. It can be a different expression, but it no longer is, oh, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to paint a picture. There's my genius. Okay, I'm done. It becomes a lifestyle. It doesn't mean you're painting pictures all the time. It means that this kind of rolling, limitless creatrix is constantly wildly creating. And there's a kind of boldness that comes with it. So the word plan does not exist in my being anymore. Other than I might be able to book some coaching calls or whatever out a few days, but I cannot plan, because life is a constant, not only a surprise, but a creation for me. So I don't know, I don't want to forge it. Oh, yes, Morgine, she said, you become the God source, all that is you are, instead of a human being. Yes, 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 that's it. Yeah, you become this force that rolls through the world, creating, having fun, being delightful, being delighted, being wowed, being amazed, and then it becomes a way of life. It's integrated into your expression of your life. And boy, the fulfillment that comes from that is off the charts. Amazing. So, yeah.
It's so crazy. I was talking about this on a call earlier. I used to think, because I remember that there were moments where you felt wonderful, and then there were moments like where, it was okay. And like, I feel amazing all the time. And I'm like, wow, I used to think this was, like those experiences just here and there. This is it.
Yeah.
And it's ongoing. And it's like every day it's like, wow, this is really amazing to be living like this.
Me too. I'm going to use double negative. I never don't feel that way. I always feel that way. Now, I have purposely chosen that. There's a lot we could be concerned about in the world, and it can drop you. It can get you, and, perhaps rightly so. But my work, my genius, my creatrixness is dedicated to building a world in which we are genius and innovative and creative and connected and excited and in awe of the world and the universe and all that's possible in it. And so I give myself fully to that work. Therefore, I live as a genius, wild genius creatrix.
Yes, you do. Constantly creating. I love that.
Yeah.
And, what would you say to someone that feels, like I just mentioned before, that they're only experiencing it in blips? How do they move from that place to this place?
Okay. For some people, it takes a little bit. They go up, they come down, they go up, they come down, they go up, they come down. But other people just go pa-ching. And the pa-ching version of that is you have to unleash. You have to not hold things in. Because when you're holding things in, or you're storing it inside, or you're concerned about how you show up in the world, those are all limiting conceptions. And so when I say unleash, you can do this exercise. You go stand on a beach or on a mountain or in nature or in your garden or, someplace at home where you love it, but lots of open space. And you just take a deep breath, throw your arms back, throw your head up. So you've opened up the core, and let the passions and the wonder of you and the genius of you just burst forth. See it like this fizzling fountain of awesomeness just bursting out of you and being gifted to the world. So it's an energetic exercise, but it's not like you go, you go like, here I am, this is wildly, wondrously me. And when you practice that for a bit, it becomes the way you are after a while. It becomes a natural state of flow. Because once you realize this state, there's a lot of flow in it from all directions. You have more energy. You have more vitality. You have more well-being. You have more ideas. You have more, things you want to do and energy to do it. And so it's this exercise puts that into flow for you and opens up the space from which your genius comes, because it's all in the core of you.
So what do you say to people, because I've encountered this from usually people in my family. They say, well, Adela, in your wackadoo world, this all works, but in the real world, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know that.
Oh yeah, the real world phooey. That's somebody's construct of a limited existence. That really is. That real world is a limited existence. If you look at all the people who supposedly live in the real world, going to work every day in black suits and being unhappy with their jobs and making money, but then they're tired, they're exhausted, they're stressed, they're burnt out. If that's the real world, thank you very much. I will exist forever in the wackadoo.
That's what I say.
this is where we're like vibrant, we're alive, we're creating, we're sourcing, we're making a difference, we're having fun. I mean, come on, people. This is the world you want to be in, you want to create, you want to play in, and all that real world stuff. It's just a load of hooey.
It sure is. So what can people do to support more of this genius flow in their everyday moment to moment?
Well, first of all, like, be bold. Don't, like, people are so hesitant at first, like, okay, I've written my first poem and okay, I'll show it to a few people, and if I'm lucky, they won't say something terrible about it. Right? And like, oh darn, just stick it out there, put it out somewhere, like, who cares? Like, you love it, that's it. People will love it, and if they don't, they don't. Then don't hang out with the people who don't love it. Hang out with the people who do love it. Like, it's you gather together around you, fellow and sister wild genius creatrixes who love that world that you're creating in and who love what you do, and you just start playing with it from there.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
One of the things that a lot of people think is that they should just do one thing at a time. And they think they only have one genius. And if they're lucky if they have one genius. But that's not true. We have a multiplicity of genius talents within us. And we can do more than one thing at a time. So one of the things that happens as you go into wild, unleashed, limitless genius flow and creation is that you go into what I call a hyperspeed state. So, like, I can do 50 million things, before noon. I can be creating websites, and I can be posting videos for webinars, and I can be writing posts, and I can be, all that before noon. And literally my day now, and people say to me, oh, you're so busy, you're doing so many things. I'm like, yeah, but it's all done in like 3 hours, 2 hours a day. Because you go into this flow state. And in the flow state, the ideas keep on coming, and don't think, oh, I have to focus, I have to stick with this. No, if you got the energy for something, go do something else and then come back to this, because it gives you more energy, gives you more flow, and there's more power to it. So I just let come through whatever wants to come through when it wants to come through. I'm not the least bit focused on how I'm branded or how I'm positioned or how I'm viewed. I don't care. I want to create and invent and play and have fun and put stuff out there. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
So don't focus on one thing only.
Don't focus on, and the other thing that I'm hearing is, throw out the rules, throw out, the maps, throw out, this is how it should be done. That is actually, that limits your genius. Because you're putting yourself into this tiny container. And from what I'm hearing and what I experienced from your own unleashing, because I see you, like, you're a web designer, you're a photographer, you're cooking, like, you're doing all these different things. And it seems that the more you, like, wildly surrender to all this creative flow that's coming through you, the more that comes through you.
Absolutely. And can be applied pretty much to anything. I mean, I still haven't mastered picking up paints and painting, but I now have a graphics tablet. I'm about to learn how to take my photography and play with it to make it fantasy photography. So I have a vision of that, and so I'm playing with that, and I'm trying to come into it, not like, I have to learn this software program, and then I have to figure it out, and I'm trying to come into it like playfully and without all the rules and just see what I can do. So I'm still at the very beginning stages of it, but that's one of my new efforts.
Yeah, the other thing that's popping for me as you're talking is, especially for people that, are coming from a different worldview where they're used to specific rhythms and specific, how do you navigate in this free-flowing world where things are constantly changing and the new is always coming up and you're always following it? What does that look like?
Well, you're the source of the new. Therefore, it's not surprising. You don't get whacked over the head by something new. You're sourcing it, you're creating it, you're part of the movement of it. So therefore, it has a synergistic flow for you. It's not like,
Right,
it's more
right.
like, oh, here it comes there. Hey.
Yeah.
And you keep sourcing that newness in yourself. And you're constantly kind of rejigging, redesigning, playing with how you express. So I used to change websites all the time. I was changing pictures all the time. And now I'm kind of like, I can leave the web domains alone because, I just kind of want to just be free to play. And that's kind of how I do it now. I just let myself play in whatever area. I call it whatever I want. So I create an event now rather than I create a website for it, My websites just sit and say basic stuff, but everything I do is through events and webinars and stuff online. So it's fun.
Yeah, I'm noticing that a lot of those systems or the ways that I used to do things before, I can't even do them.
Yeah.
It's like the thought is like, it may come and it's like, forget about it. It's not happening. So,
yeah, and that's interesting because you can tell by the feel. And that's a key to when you're a wild, unleashed creatrix with your genius. Because you can feel, if you start to do something and you go to put your fingers on the keyboard to write something and it comes out, and stop right there, just stop. You are not in flow, you're pushing something. And if I try to keep pushing it, I then edit it for 10 minutes and then say, oh, I give up. And I delete the whole post. Because it was a waste of time from the beginning because there was no flow. So if you just feel the flow, then you know where to go. So the minute you have the impulse to go do something, there's this rush of feeling that comes with it. And when the excitement comes, you go for it and you put that thing out there right away. Don't wait a month. Don't wait a year. Don't wait to plan it and get the website ready. You just do it right then. And that's what I do. I get an idea. Okay, I had one this morning, right? I'm in the shower, and this week is the Glastonbury Festival. And I'm 20 minutes from it. And I've never been to a festival in my life. I'm a virgin festival goer. Because I don't like porta potties, and I don't like mud, and I don't like crowds and all that kind of stuff. But I love the Glastonbury Festival. So I created a virtually Glasto, a couch-side view of the Glastonbury Festival as an event for my friends. Because I now have all these people I know in Glastonbury who are at the festival who are posting all these pictures and saying all these things, and I'm now following all these groups. I thought, I'm going to invite my friends to a virtual Glastonbury Festival online so we can have some fun with it. Now, why am I doing that? There's no purpose to it other than I just want to have a good time and I want to be a part of the festival. But who knows where it will lead me? I don't know. That might eventually lead, because it was so compelling when I was in the shower that it was the first thing I did when I got to my computer today. I could hardly wait to do it. I had to do it,
Amazing. To be driven by joy, wonder, excitement, fun.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Would you, I'd love for folks to experience how to unleash their genius flow. Can you take us through that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so first things first, take a deep breath. Fill yourself up with you, with the joy of you. Maureen, I'll invite you to the virtual festival. Sorry, she just put a note in. You too, Adela. Okay, so take a deep breath and fill yourself up with the joy of you, the excitement of you, the visions of you, the dreams of you, the passions of you. Think of something you love. Let it burst through you. Let it fill you up from head to toe. and let it burst out of you. Don't limit yourself as just a physical body. You are a vast field of wonder soaring through the world. And you find your place, you elevate, you lift yourself up, you become a part of this glorious genius universe. And around you is floating genius ideas and innovations and beautiful art, and nature has come to play, and you're just so connected and bountiful. And then just to make it practical for a moment, then you just kind of open up and ask, give me a genius idea just for the fun of it right now. Whether you do it or not doesn't matter. Give me one beautiful genius idea that would light me up. And you can feel that idea just kind of settles into you, or pops into your brain, or, fills you with excitement through you. And then you can choose whether or not you want to do that or not. And one of the things that people will notice is, like, I did this call yesterday. It was my quantum coach group, and they're relatively new to it. And I did this call yesterday, and I was showing them how to move from human to greater to infinite. And I popped them. There was something happening. They just popped from greater to infinite. And the moment they popped from greater to infinite, they said, "Oh my God, it's so different here. Everything I was worried about here, it's like, what? Why was I worried about that? It's kind of irrelevant in this place." And the smiles came on their face, and they started laughing. And the connection between them was extraordinary. There was one woman who's probably in her 60s, 70s in the UK, and there was another guy's younger, 30s, 40s, in Denmark, and you wouldn't expect and all of a sudden they were like best friends. It was such a delight to watch them just kind of discover each other and themselves in this limitless space. Because going greater and infinite doesn't mean you're going up and away. It means you're going from inside out and present here. So there's more of you. There's all of you. There's all of life. You get filled with you. It's a different version than the up and away version. It's all about being here and presencing yourself and gifting life and creating and sourcing and being a genius.
And it feels so yummy that it is habit forming, and you want to do it more and more and more and all the time. It really is.
Yeah. So how was it for you?
I got this idea. The first thing that popped into I love to dance. I love to dance. I know you love to dance too. And I just got the idea of just doing a world tour, just trying different dance, like in all different kinds of places,
Wow.
writing about it, just about, because movement, and that's one form of movement. That movement is one of those things, whether it's energy movement, ideas in movement, the body in movement, that is just a theme that is recurring for me, and I'm endlessly fascinated with movement.
Wow.
So anyway, that felt delicious, and once I got into that, it felt so wonderful. It just really elevates you to a different frequency, a different experience, and you just think different things happen in this.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because you can use that as an example that the movement has always dwelled in you as a genius, as a passion. And then suddenly when you connect to the genius field, the passion and what wants to happen come together. And then suddenly you have these new ideas. And if you keep playing with that, you'll find this perfect, brilliant idea that will come from it. Because I was playing with the virtual event, the virtual Glastonbury Festival, which really I'm sitting over here 20 minutes away. You know, I'm not there. But I thought, oh, I could create all kinds of virtual events like that, you know, because that's fun.
And it brings to mind too that, you know, when you get whatever that thing is, that's where you need to be bold and do something with it. Because even if it's not that thing right there, the subsequent things that you keep saying, oh, that, oh, all of a sudden it takes you to some place and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? This is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? It's funny because, you know, you were talking about this, the Wild Creatrix had been in you for a while. About a month ago, I kept getting immortals, the immortals, the immortals. And now I'm creating a website for someone who's working on youthing everybody.
Isn't that wild how it shows? It's like you are co-creating with the forces of life and the genius moving through you. It's like it's looking for players all the time. It's like, are you on my team? Let's go. Let's do this. It's exciting.
Can I just say one more thing about that? Collaborative genius. I want to just, this can be my last piece. Okay, so collaborative genius. Genius isn't like, okay, I'm the genius, I'm the boss. Okay, it's not like that. One of the joys about this Unleashed Wild Creatrix stuff is that you discover how wondrous it is to create with others. Now, it doesn't mean we're all working on the same painting or that, but you know, when you have a team, right? And you have a team and you come in and you say, let's work on this new thing. Who's got ideas? And this goes, I do. And you put them up and then you choose one or two. No, in collaborative genius, you use them all. I call it collaborative genius fusion. And what happens is when you're coming from this wild, unleashed place, they fuse synergistically, perfectly together, like amazingly. And suddenly you have something that's wildly beyond what you yourself might have created. It's amazing to do that. And there's a whole art form to kind of getting that collaborative genius fusion to happen. And how fun that is. That's one of my favorite things to do is collaborative genius fusion.
You do it all the time with your events and your programs. And that's how you play. That's your playground. It's
yeah. Unleashing people's genius and mastery, that's my game, boy. Because the more we can get people unleashed in their genius and mastery, the more the world is going to turn out wondrously. Because they're going to be inventing brand new ways to make this world ever more wondrous.
Not only that, but even before that, once people get that they're geniuses, it changes everything.
Oh my God, yes.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I'm so glad that you're leading it. And I know that you have a great gift for the folks who are watching.
I do. Yeah, I have online, and it's for free. Just a second, I'm just pulling it up. If you go to thegeniusgameprogram.weebly.com, so the Genius Game Program with just program.weebly, weebly.com. You'll find there a whole bunch of videos and all kinds of stuff that will help you unleash your genius and play away in the genius game.
Yeah, there's a PDF, there's a little book that you created to go along with it. That's awesome. I was
checking
it out. It was great.
Yes, you're right. Let me just get it. I even have a copy right here, the genius game.
Soleira, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I just want to thank you, darling. I want to open it up. I don't know if Maureen, if you had any questions, darling, or you wanted to add anything to the conversation.
Oh, I remember those early classes and how much fun and how interesting it was when we all shared our genius and came together, how everything coalesced into something, different. And when we're all in our genius, we stop needing to conform or be like anybody else, and it's okay to be your unique self, which I think that this country needs a lot of. Our children are getting it. You know, they're being born that way, but many adults are afraid to stand out, to do something different. You know, like I was for years. You know, I write differently, I do different things, I talk to nature, and before I hit it for years and years before, you know, I realized, you know, that I can have fun in the world and share who I am, and it's okay. You know, that I will be accepted. And if I'm not, it's okay too.
It's not only okay, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, darlings. And thank you so
Beautiful.
much. Let me just,
Thank you, Adela.
thank you, darling.